Super sauce. What an interesting word. Super sauce. So last week I showed you what I use in the studio and what hardware I have in combination with my Ableton setup. And this week I wanted to show you my 10 favorite plugins, so you can see all the different elements that I love to use in my tracks. We're gonna divide it into two parts. The first part are the VSTs, like the actual synthesizers, the VST synthesizers, and the second parts are the plugins to change the sound of these synthesizers, the audio effects. So the first one that I want to show you is the Silent One. I've been using Silent One for, I think, since it came out actually. At first I couldn't really get the use of it how I wanted it to use, because it was pretty hard for me, because I was still starting up as a producer. But it now has become my go-to synth when it comes to my super sauce. So super sauce. So I created a little patch here. It's a preset I use a lot of time. It's called the Brazil lead, and it's after the track by Deadmau5. So really fat layer to layer around a big monotone lead sound, like I did also with Heroic. I had like one in the middle and this one is like around it, so you have a really big stereo field. When I started to use it, it was more my go-to synth, because I always like to try to get to know one synthesizer before downloading everything. Now I only use it mostly for my super sauce. What an interesting word. Super sauce. The next one I want to show you is Spire. It's something I discovered, I think, 2 years ago. Spire has been my go-to synth for trance kind of leads. So you have, for instance, if you want to be like Armin van Buuren, you can. If you want to be like Garrett Emery, you can. Let's see, I like this one. It's the one I used for my track Destiny. It was the main lead synth over there. Basically, it has a lot of the same qualities that I really enjoy from Silent, but for some reason it has much bigger sounds when it comes to monophonic sounds. So that's why I use it a lot for my leads and my bass lines as well sometimes. I use that one a lot when making trance music. It's a really great underlayer. Next up is a plugin called Serum. I discovered that, I think it was ADE like 3 years ago. And yeah, it's great for like the more bass housey stuff. Like, it's great for that kind of stuff. Has a bit of that old Sander van Doorn kind of vibe. I'm not that particularly good in creating my own sounds. I know how to create some of my own sound, but I tend to just look at sounds that are almost there. I like how I want them to sound and then go from there. So know your weaknesses and don't be afraid to give in to the sounds that have already been made. It's always good to make your own sounds as well. But for me, it's no use to try to make something my own and sit on it for like days if there's like a preset that's already almost there but needs some work, so I can craft it into my own. So that's how I go about it. So next up is Kontakt. For people who know my recent music, I use a lot of orchestral stuff, and yeah, Kontakt is great for it. Has lots of great libraries. But in the last few months, I've been looking more and more for original sounding instruments, and I came across the guys from Spitfire, and they also have like a really cheap range of sounds. They don't sound cheap at all, but it's like that you pay $3 and you get like one instrument, and all the $3 are going to a good cause. So should definitely check it out. This is something from them. It's like they call it triple felt piano. And it's like I read I saw a movie about it, how they explained how they did it, and it's like they put like a sheet in between the piano, so you hear the tick of the, I don't know if a sheet is the word, super sauce, like a towel from the kitchen, like just a regular towel, and I put it in front, and you hear the noise it makes when it touches every note. So really unique, interesting sound, which I came across a few weeks ago. So that's are actually my go-to synths and libraries for like the creation of my melodies and my chord progressions. Next up, we're gonna look into how I would process them. The first one is the EQ8 from Ableton. A lot of people use the Fabfilter. I use it as well as a lot as well. But there's one function I really like to use in the EQ8, which I can do. I could do the same in Fabfilter, but for me it works really quickly to do it in the Ableton EQ. And that's called a telephone effect, which gives a really interesting effect as if you're listening to it through an old telephone, which I really love to use in my breaks when building up towards the big melody. So you can get something like... If you layer that with a break bass and with some pads and with some strings, that's a really cool, we'll get a really cool result. So next up, it's the Fabfilter Simplone. It's a really handy little filter plugin. I don't use all the really weird serial parallel stuff. I just use it for like a high cut or low cut filter. But it's like really, it does what it needs to do for me, and it does it really quickly. It's a really easy interface, so really like to use that one a lot. Next one is something I use on almost every lead sound that I use, and it's the OTT by XFER. Without the OTT it would sound like pretty big, but OTT is like an up or downward compressor which really pumps up the sound, so to say. So if you go like, now it's like a 0 depth. With it, yeah, for me it's like creates really cool high frequencies on top of it, and makes it sound really tight, which I really like in a lead synth, because you want the leads to like really punch through. Next up I want to show you is the CLA 2A by Chris Lord Alge. It also has like a really great compressor in it, which takes out the peaks in a sound. And I normally use it only on vocals, because it's a little bit more gentle and has some more parameters to tweak, so you can really make the vocal like really stand out in the mix. Next one is a simple delay. The simple delay is like something I use when I want a sound to really be like in the stereo field, like really wide. And there's a really cool trick I learned from a video from the Chainsmokers. It's if you put the time of your left signal or your right signal like on the lowest amount possible, like 1 millisecond, and the other one like also really low, like in 26, like I have now, the sound will go from in the middle, like here, all the way to the sides. And that's because the delay is like so short that your ears won't notice the difference between left and right, so it makes it like really wide. If I would like make the delay, the time from the right signal longer, then it would sound like this. So then it's really starts to sound like a delay. So that's not what I want. I just want to take it out of the mix so that there's more room for other elements that I want to have in the middle, so it's like a really nicely balanced mix. Then the last one is, I think, the one that people hear a lot in my music. It's the just Ableton reverb. I get lots of questions on it, and yeah, I mostly use it as a return, like as a send. And what I do is I put it, I sidechain the signal that I want to put reverb to, sidechain it to the reverb, and take the threshold a bit down, like halfway, and then dry wet all the way up, decay time like pretty long, and then take some of the lows and the highs away. What this will do is it'll create a sidechain effect on the lead, which make it sound really, really, really big. So this is how it sounds without the reverb. with the reverb. So that really widens out the sound, which I think is really important if you want to create a big hands in the air effect on the dance floor. So those were the sounds and plugins that I use a lot. I would really love to know if you have any other plugins I should check out. So in the comments below, let me know what are your favorite sounds and sound effects and synthesizers. And perhaps I can learn some new ones and try some new ones out. So take care, see you next week. Bye.